Okay, so basically today I just wanted to talk about common sense. It's not so common and it really doesn't involve a whole lot of sense. But for some reason, I think that if we're getting into this whole esoteric type conversation about rights and the law and government and banking and taxes and all of this nonsense, I think that we need to start some basic foundational principles. I want to basically explain to you how I came up with some of the things that I've come up with. Most of that happened because I have been, since a young child, one of those people that just never really took the word because as a solid answer. Kids, you ask, some of your parents ask you to do something, your teacher asks you to do something, and a lot of kids, why? Why this? Why that? Why the other thing? And a lot of times the answer is just because, or because I said so, or because whatever. Because isn't an answer. Been a lot of that throughout the course of my life. Most of the times people grow out of that as they get to be an adult because they learn. Unfortunately, my curiosity was never really satisfied. I guess I just didn't learn how to stop asking why, how, or what. The thing is, basically, I wanted to understand the legal system a little bit better, and it was because, I underwent an arrest. It was on a drug charge for mushrooms, and it was a pretty large quantity, not excessive, couple pounds of mushrooms. I was looking at a potential of 30 years in prison. Well, it was my first ever felony, my first ever drug arrest, and so they were saying to me, the state was telling me, don't worry, you'll only do 3 years maximum because that's our sentencing guidelines. And I said, well, that's fine and dandy. It was still a little nerve-wracking to think that I was going to go to prison for 3 years. As I was reading through the paperwork, it stated that I could go to prison for 30 years, and it really just didn't seem to make sense to me how I could go to prison for up to 30 years for a couple of pounds of mushrooms, a fungus. So I started asking questions, getting involved, things like that. As I started thinking about this and getting involved with this, concept of asking and finding out more and more and more about our government and our legal system and how it works and everything, started coming up with more and more questions. The more I researched, the more I realized that I didn't know. There's a lot of questions that people have that they are just afraid to ask. Oh, why do I have to pay taxes? If taxes are voluntary, how do I not volunteer? Things of that nature.
Just a little elbow grease and determination, and this could be you. This is really great, but I know that there's someone out there just like me that is like, yes, bitch, you fucked that outfit up. I've had a good time, and now I'm gonna go out on the town. Clearly. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to my kingdom. Do I have like a sword or anything? See you, goodbye. I'm off to Coachella. Alright, I'll see you guys next week. I hope one person in the world liked this video because I liked it a lot. Alright, my hands are fucking sweating. Bye, top of the morning.
One of the main questions that really got to me was when I started thinking about and researching the debt of the United States. I realized that in the U.S. Constitution, there's this interesting phrase. A lot of people don't ever read the Constitution, but there's an interesting phrase somewhere in there that states, the debt of the United States shall not be questioned. Okay, well, that's all well and good, I suppose, but here's the big question. If the United States has been in debt, our national debt shall not be questioned, it says in the Constitution. So here's the thing. If the United States, which I am not the United States, I'm assuming that none of you are the United States. We all have names or titles or whatever that we go by. But anyway, the United States is a separate entity all by itself. And as it came into existence through the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and eventually the Constitution, apparently the United States itself, whatever that entity is, was already in debt. Now, that was back in the 1700s. Well, I was born in 1974, so what got me wondering about all of this is, if I was born in 1974, at what point do I become liable for the debts of this other entity? So, I go by Jupiter Sky. That's the handle I usually use when I'm dealing with these kind of issues, and especially with this website and the videos that are being posted. I go by Jupiter Sky. Okay, so let's just say for kicks and grins, that's my real name. So what point does Jupiter Sky become as a free-born child? Because we can all use a little bit of common sense and realize that Jupiter Sky, born as a baby, really has no obligation to the world. As a child, you're obligated obligation is basically to live, be happy. As you grow, you assume other obligations such as not injuring a person, not damaging other people's property, not breaching contracts, things of that nature. What point does that baby, as it grows, become liable for the debts of basically a foreign entity? That baby, Jupiter, was born in a hospital. Obviously he didn't come into the world owing any debt. At what point do I have to start assuming someone else's debt? There's a question for you. Talked to a couple of people. My mother.
Sure is nice having my own superhero movie.
Yep, a movie with my own name on it.
It's glorious. Hey, do you think I could have my own movie?
Ha! No. Only dude superheroes get a movie.
For you. Talked to a couple of people, my mother specifically, who stated that she mentioned that it was at the point where you choose to be a United States citizen, then you choose to pay the debts of the United States. That's probably true. At what point do I become a U.S. citizen? Most people have the idea that if you're born, quote unquote, in the United States, that you're automatically a U.S. citizen. I would like to posit in the common sense realm, if I was born in Rome, that doesn't mean that I'm a Catholic. Does that mean I'm subject to the Vatican because I was born in Rome? Does that mean that if I'm born in Moscow that I'm automatically a U.S. or a Russian citizen? We all know that people can be born elsewhere and still be a U.S. citizen if they so choose. What point do you choose? If you don't ever choose to be a citizen of the United States, then apparently you're not liable for the debts of the United States. If I was born in Rome and I decided at some point in my life when I turned 18 and could validly recognize and participate in contracts that I wanted to be Italian. Well, would I be liable for the debts of Russia? Would I be liable for the debts of the United States? No. Now, if I chose to be an Italian citizen, I may be choosing to be liable for the debts of Italy. But again, just because I was born in Italy doesn't mean that I'm Italian. I could choose to be a U.S. citizen. Both my parents are U.S. citizens and I was born in Italy. Great. So what? I could choose to be a U.S. citizen if I want to. I could probably choose to be an Italian citizen if I want to. But at what point do you make that choice? And if you don't make that choice, why are you automatically assumed to be liable for that debt? And basically that's all of our legal system and our corporate governments and all this stuff is all based on debt.
And if you'd like to join the debate on whether or not I suck, leave a comment below. Just, please, click something, anything, so that I don't have to keep animating this.
It's all based on debt. You can look anywhere on the internet. There's, as far as I'm aware of, at this current stage in our history of the world, there's only 2 countries that are not in debt. And to the best of my knowledge, those 2 countries are North Korea and Iran. Well, we all see what's going on with those 2 countries, sanctions, this, that, and the other thing. And all that's all basically boils down to, bankers wanting to control. Basically what I'm getting at is, if every single one of these countries, with the exception of 2 that exist in the world today, are in debt, who are they in debt to? How did they get there? How is it that every single country on the face of the planet is in debt? Are you trying to tell me that Iran and North Korea are the richest countries on the planet because everybody else owes them? No. So who do they owe? Who do these countries owe? Who are they in debt to? Who are these entities in debt to? And at what point do you become liable for their debt? Regardless of what country you're born in. You're going to pay taxes. You're probably going to end up paying interest on all kinds of things that don't belong to you, that you think belong to you, but they don't. So you're basically stuck paying this debt. Now, my son, who's 14 years old, he was born in 2001 he's 15 now. My son was born in 2001. The United States was in debt when he was born, but he's 15 years old. So is he liable for the United States debt? Is he liable for one portion of it? Whatever, if there's 300 million people in the United States, is he liable for 1/300 millionth of the debt of the United States? Not unless he chooses to be. I didn't put him into debt. He doesn't owe me anything. He doesn't owe anyone I know anything. So at what point does he become liable for the debt? And this is just a good common sense question to start off with. Thinking about that. Do some research on that. Find out.
This is one of my new favorite classes, really, and I love all of my classes. Mwah, I promise, I do. But it seems like these guys really got it. I saw very little frustration, but that's me. Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure you are subscribed and make sure you click thumbs up if you like this video and you want more videos like this, and like me on Facebook. Okay, love you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
You know, we pay so much of our money in taxes. It's not just income taxes. We're talking about gas tax, cigarette tax, road tax, licenses, fees, registrations, all this stuff. It's all tax. At what point do you become liable, or does my son become liable for all of those debts? At what point did I become liable for those debts? Really personally remember ever agreeing to be responsible for someone else's debt. This debt is over 200 years old. Obviously, if it's mentioned in the Constitution, then the entity known as the United States of America was in debt way before my birth. So why am I paying on a debt that is hundreds of years old that I had no liability for? This is just a good question. I don't want to run into the whole thing about debt. There's just some common sense questions like that that really need to be thought about. Basically, everything you do is controlled by the financial system. That financial system itself is a debt system. You know, there's an old saying that gold is the money of kings, silver is the money of gentlemen, barter is the money of peasants, and debt is the money of slaves. If you want to use debt, if you look up under the Uniform Commercial Code, or basically however it is situated in the statutes of your particular state, Code of the United States, any of that, you'll notice that the definition of a note is a debt instrument. A bond is an order to pay. A note is a promise to pay. So if you're using Federal Reserve notes, that means the Federal Reserve promises to pay. They're allowing you as an individual to use their promises to pay, their notes, their security instruments, their debt instruments. If you just keep passing around all this debt, then you're not ever actually paying anything. Basically, I want to say that we need to start looking at some serious definitions. I like to use Black's Law. 4th edition is probably one of my favorites to use. It's the one I usually use here on the computer at the office.
All right, guys, it's 2016. Can the new Batman be black?
Oh, no.
You can have a black best friend.
Oh, yeah, every superhero has a black guy sidekick.
For definitions, another thing we need to start looking at is definitions in general. What is a court? What is money? What is payment? What is discharge? We need to have a basic understanding of a lot of these words that we use and we throw around. As colloquial English, we can use all these words and they mean certain things. It comes down to the legal system, the government system, things of that nature. A lot of these words have different meanings that really would surprise you. One of the things that I found, which was really interesting, and most people understand that cops and all government employees, for the most part, you know, upper level government employees, your mayors, your sheriffs, your congressmen, your military, all these people, they all have to take an oath of office. They have to subscribe and swear to an oath of office, which in general says, I swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California, or whatever state they're in. That's all great, and we all think we have an understanding of that concept. That's right. We want our public officers to swear to support the Constitution, and we all think they're obligated by that. Black's Law.
Iron Man has a black Iron Man.
And Captain America has the, what is it, the Dark Eagle.
Alrighty, fine. As long as he gets to drive the Batmobile.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he'll steal it at some point.
Black's Law Dictionary, if you look up the actual definition of the word defend, it states something to the effect of to argue, to dispute. That puts a whole different meaning on that oath of office, doesn't it? I swear to support and to dispute, or to argue, the Constitution of the United States. I think they do a lot more arguing and disputing than they do supporting. Common sense way of reasoning would say that in order to support something, you need to stand under it. You can't support something that you're standing on top of, because if you're standing over it, then it's supporting you. So you need to stand under something in order to support it, or understand. Ask any public official that's taken an oath of office just a simple question. How many articles are in the Constitution? Not how many amendments, not how many anything. Just ask them how many articles are in the Constitution. You know what? Funny thing is, very few of them will know the answer to that. If they don't come under the standing of that document, then they cannot support it. That's just bare bones common sense. So if they're not supporting it, they're defending it, because they said they will support and defend. They're basically arguing and disputing.
Look, it's Spider-Man!
Wow, is it Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield?
I heard it's a new guy.
Already?
Look, y'all, I'm black now!
Oh, so you're like Spider-Man's best friend?
Every superhero ever
disputing instead of standing under it. Just wanted to bring all that out, kind of a new concept, but we need to start questioning words. We need to start questioning definitions. We need to start questioning our own understanding of what's going on and what people are saying. Now, I know a lot of us get involved and we just, you get a contract with your electric company, your cell phone company, your water company, whatever. Well, how many people ever read the contract? Law makes the contract. If you don't read the contract, then you don't have any idea what the law is. That's basically it. We need to start thinking about that. We need to start changing our perception of what is reality and why it is that way. Basic thing that I wanted to bring up, and we're going to do some more very basic stuff here very soon. I'm going to get into some taxes. I'm going to get into the court system. I know I mentioned it before. I'm going to get into the banking system. I'm going to get into government. But I want to start off with some basic principles and explain to you guys that we really need to change the way we think. We really need to change the way we act, but most of all, we need to change our perception of reality. I hope that helps, and I hope that you start questioning things more often. Hopefully, take time to find the answers and go out and research this stuff for yourself as we get further into it. That's all I've got for today. Hope to see you here in the next couple of weeks. We'll make another video and post it online, and good luck, stay safe, be well, be healthy. Best wishes to everyone.
And the last thing that I wish I could lie about is thinking that this isn't a good look. I think this is a good look. I think that we should make this a thing. I can't even lie. I think this is cool. It's like a beard for girls. Shut up. It's a girl beard. I really like it. All right, make sure you subscribe to my channel and let me know some things that you wish that you could lie about, because I can't be the only person that's over here telling all the truths that there are. All right, see you guys next week. Bye. 1, 2, 3, blast off!
Just cause I rap, don't think that I won't bust my gap. I'm a thug from the mud, and I don't play that sucker shit, man. Real niggas show me love, and bitches want my last name. I'd rather hang with a broke real nigga than a fake rich nigga. Fools show they true colors when they off that liquor. I was raised in the trenches with the grimies and hitters, posted on the app with a mouthful of spitters. Talk by the OGs. Never let a hoe make us enemies. I'm solid as an oak tree, never falling off like loose leaves.
So whack. Turn up. Why you fucking with a nigga like that, huh? What? Wherever you got that nigga from, where you get that nigga from? You need to take that nigga back. She be in the club tryna fuck with a nigga like me, yeah. Cause I be on my shit, ain't never low key, yeah. I be on my shit. I be on my shit.